You know, a pet peeve I have is when I see on social media one of the biggest mistakes that the school system made is not educating us about credit. Are you kidding me? That's not no goddamn mistake. That's not no goddamn mistake. What incentive do they have to teach you? First of all, a few things.
Yeah. I don't never feel pain, cause I done felt too much pain. Money.
Freedom over failure. Tell them freedom over failure.
Freedom over failure.
I know that's right.
Put your freedom over failure.
Look, it's less than 10% of people who have six figures. You know, that may not be the exact number, but roughly, and I believe it's a little less than 10% of Americans, at least, if not the world, but at least Americans who have less than six figures. But everybody is working to get to six figures. That's like everybody's dream. Everybody's dream is to get to six figures. And it's not even to get to six figures so they can use that money to further advance some real goals that they have, a real dream that they have. It's just the end all be all. That's how far removed the majority of us are from money. Because they never taught us money. Look, money is something we have to learn, just like we have to learn nutrition, even though many of us feel like we don't need to learn nutrition. And it shows when you see that the number one cause of death is heart disease, number two cause of death is cancer, and something as simple as a whole food vegan diet can not only prevent but reverse, especially the heart disease, which is the number one cause, and in many cases, cancer as well. This is something we have to learn. You know, they're not going to let you perform surgery without you learning it first. They're not going to even let you run in burning buildings as a firefighter without training you first. Okay? Any occupation you could think of, there's training that has to take place prior. Money is no different. Money is no different. But the only thing that they taught us about money, the only way they taught us how to, now remember, we live in a capitalist society. So in a capitalist society, the most valuable tool is money, currency, whatever that currency is, which in America is the US dollar. The only way they taught us how to get the US dollar is to sell our time for it. We have to sell our time for it, either by the hour or by the year. If you're selling it by the year, you're probably doing good. They buying your time wholesale. Okay? Just like, you know, it may be some t-shirts. Yeah, one of the t-shirts is $12, but if you get 100 of them, they give you the whole thing for $8 a shirt if you get 100 of them. But if you get one at a time, then it's $12 a shirt. You know, so it may be a little more expensive to get you by the hour. They could just get you by the year, and at that time, you're around the clock 24/7 throughout the year with a 2-week vacation. I believe that's how it goes. Hold on, let me get a sip of this tea. So, they only taught us to sell our time in exchange for the US dollar for money. Sell an hour of our time. We'll sell an hour of our time for 16, 17 bucks. Be lucky if you can feed your family. Depending on how the size of your family and the quality of food you want to eat, you'd be lucky if you can feed your family for the day off of that. We trade an hour of our time for that. Now, mind you, during that hour that you done sold, and we usually sell them in 4 to 8 hour bunches, if not more, per day. During that time, you now become an extension of somebody else. There were dreams and aspirations. There was a vision that somebody else had. And now you are just an extension of them for them to accomplish, to bring the world closer to the vision that that entity had, that person had, or group of people had. And a lot of times, what their goals are may be in direct opposition of your goals. There's somewhere right now, there's a vegan working for a goddamn meat plant. You know what I'm saying? Like, how are you really enjoying life if you're literally working to make life less enjoyable for you in the way that you see fit in your world? You understand what I'm saying? We only been taught to sell our time for money. We wasn't taught to sell our money's time for more money. We wasn't taught to how to create something of value. We wasn't taught the power of compound interest. We wasn't taught how to acquire assets, performing assets. We wasn't taught what store of value is versus currency, what versus equity versus debt. And then the debt they taught you about, they didn't even teach you about the evils of debt until they had already put you in debt. You know what I'm saying? Yo, sign up, get this credit card. Years later, oh yeah, by the way, credit card debt is evil, by the way. You shouldn't want to do that. Well, it's too late now. Now I'm already 6,000 plus in credit card debt and the interest is kicking my ass. That's how they get you. And they don't. Now they promote the hell out, or some more debt, college debt. Yo, take out these student loans, get into college because you're gonna make something of yourself. College debt is a goddamn epidemic right now. It's so crazy that they're like, yo, maybe we should just act like that debt never happened. Come on, Joe Biden, what do you say? That's how crazy it's gotten, but they didn't tell you that till you was too late and you was already in it. So these are the games that they play. Now, when we understand this, now we should know that, yo, nobody's going to give a fuck about you like you give a fuck about you. We shouldn't go through life depending on somebody else to look out for our best interests. Depending for somebody else to educate us on how to defeat them. You know, we up against a system that views the world as zero sum, like there has to be winners and losers. That's the type of society that they've constructed. So they don't even know how to fathom, you know, just a utopia, if you will. They don't even know how to fathom that. So there is no, yo, teach me the game, or they need to properly educate. You know, a pet peeve I have is when I see on social media, one of the biggest mistakes that the school system made is not educating us about credit. Are you kidding me? That's not no goddamn mistake. That's not no goddamn mistake. What incentive do they have to teach you? First of all, a few things. Number one, things change, first of all. Okay, so the rules of credit has changed over time. What used to work back then doesn't work now. What works now didn't always work back then. Things are always changing, and nowadays they're changing even faster. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's point one. So they wouldn't, even if they wanted to teach us, they wouldn't be equipped to teach us, especially a public school system. Are you kidding me? But beyond that, why would they educate you on how to get a better deal from the bank? Like, the banks is like the backbone of everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, everything depends on credit, right? Like the stock market depends on credit. As long as there's credit available, everything is good. Who's giving out the credit? The banks. Okay? So, the bank being the backbone of the whole shit, why would they educate you on how to not pay the bank as much if they know that they need to put a lot of energy into the banks, because the banks is like the skeleton of our economic system? They're not going to do anything that's going to spite the banks. Fuck the people. It's about the bank. The bank's more important than the people who work for the banks. So, these are things we have to understand. They're not going to educate you on amortization of the interest rates. They're just going to say, yo, you got to prove for, 5% on your mortgage. And you're like, okay, 5%. That sounds like a low number. It's lower than 10%. I must be all right. You're not understanding that's going to amount to you paying double, triple, quadruple. You know what I'm saying? Whatever if you got a $100,000 house, that 5% interest over 30 years, now you're going to be paying down there $400,000. You just seen the 5%. So your brain instantly thinks, because we always think with our limbic brain, which is the emotional part, not our prefrontal cortex, which rationalizes, uses logic, and thinks critically. You're not thinking, you're just going off of emotion. Okay, 5%, $100,000 house. Quickly, your emotional brain, even though it's not real, but your emotional brain is what makes a decision, and it tells you real quick, okay, $5,000 is not a lot. It's not a lot. Or actually, it's probably more than that, but fuck it, I've already made the decision to buy this house. You see what I'm saying? It's a dirty game they play. So, the point of me saying all this is what? They don't, they never, nor will they ever. And if they do, that means the game done changed again. Keep that in mind. But let me just get this out of the way. Whenever they start teaching you things that they probably should have been teaching a while ago, that's because the game didn't change. So like I was going on to say, they're not going to promote teaching you to invest in stocks. They're not. I mean, if you get lucky and find some great private school or something, but as far as the masses, especially some government funded school, they're not going to do that. And when they do, that means that the game is probably over. The game is damn, I mean, that's just the reality of it. Okay? Especially invest in stocks the right way. And what they're going to always find a one up on you, always. But they're not going to teach you to invest in stocks. That's the lowest barrier to entry to wealth. And when they teach too many people to do it, they'll find a way to make it more difficult for the average person to do it. Like they tried to do with this whole Robinhood, not Robinhood. I mean, Robinhood was a part of it, but GameStop fiasco. They try to say, yo, we got to protect the people from the stock market. We got to make sure that they have a certain level of education first before we let them. When that shouldn't even be the case. That's how they'll flip it on you, as opposed to saying maybe we shouldn't allow institutions to make deals on shares of companies that don't even exist out of greed and leverage. They're not going to say that. They're going to say, yo, we got to protect the people and not let them participate in the easiest wealth building platform available to us. And we're going to add another barrier in the way. That's how they think. You understand what I'm saying? They got it open because they like, yo, so understanding that. Now, the most recent new stock on the exchanges is Coinbase. Okay? Coinbase. What do I think about Coinbase? So first of all, we got to understand that Bitcoin, I told you about Bitcoin before. Okay? And Bitcoin, basically, I mean, I'm not about to go on a lecture on Bitcoin. Y'all know what Bitcoin is. It's like a new money, okay? And there's plenty of other cryptocurrencies that Coinbase lists or that exist, period. Okay? It's a growing thing if you haven't heard of it. Everybody's on this cryptocurrency wave now. If you have been living under a rock, and it's only growing more and more and more, and it's been the case for 10 plus years now. So it's here to stay. It's not going anywhere. So what I think about Coinbase, I look at it like this. Because and Bitcoin has been compared to this before too, as the gold rush, right? And people's digging for gold and mining for Bitcoin and digging for gold. Coinbase would be like the shovel. Because they say when they get to digging for gold, don't go after the gold, start selling the shovels. That's what Coinbase is kind of like. And that's probably not the most accurate comparison, but it's kind of like that. Because that's the number one platform that people use for their cryptocurrency transactions, and Bitcoin's the number one cryptocurrency. So this is the number one platform people use for their transactions. So now, back in the gold rush, the average person didn't have the materials, the tools, the know-how, the resources to just start making their own shovels, right? Or maybe they didn't know the right people to invest in a shovel company. People weren't able to participate. Now, in 2021, we have a position to where you didn't have to found Coinbase. You don't need none of the materials or technology or whatever the Coinbase used to put their joint together. You don't need none of that. All you have to do is look around and see what's working, put your money there, participate in the success. We have a platform that gets paid from the transactions of cryptocurrencies is growing like hell. If you ask me, I say it's a good investment. This is something that makes a company very investable to me. And this is counterintuitive. I don't even know if everybody may not even agree with me when I say this. But when you have Coinbase, there's a lot of Coinbase customers who complain about Coinbase. They say it's too expensive for the fees, which is true. But they still do it. You know why? Because I have no trust. That shows the competitive edge that Coinbase has. When a company has loyal, disgruntled customers, it must be a good business. Because if they could, they would go elsewhere. But apparently, they're the best on the market. And they apparently going to be the best for a while. That's